everybody, welcome back to the farm. So in the last video I had told you about how the boys how they were crabbing with each other and trying to exert their dominance and showing, you know, a little bit of stallion tendencies. Well, all of the main stuff has been coming out of Maximus, and Maximus has been the least assertive of all four of the horses. So typically when I open up the alleyway and lead them over to the barn, it's Jean, it's Grace, it's Titus, and then Max brings up the rear. And that's the way it's been for a year. But now that Max here has been being assertive, he is not waiting. As soon as the alleyway opens, he is running across and running in front of Jean and Grace. Yeah, he knows I'm talking about him. And then what happens is Jean, right here, will go into his stall and take a bite of his food, just as if to say, this is what you get for running past. This is what you get for running past me and not waiting your turn. So I'm gonna bring them across and I'm gonna set you up, and we're gonna see if he runs around the girls. Come on, she's trying to scratch her face. If Max tries to run around the girls, and then if he does, you're gonna see Jean go into a stall and take a bite of his food. So let's set you up and see what happens. Right on cue. Right on cue, Jean goes in there. She doesn't discipline him. She just goes in there and takes his food, takes one bite, and then goes over to her stall. If he doesn't run around them, then she'll go right into her stall. But I'm gonna have to break him of that habit because we've got a social hierarchy and it's worked great. But I think it's just because he's coming into his stallionness and he just wants to be assertive. So the fans are going. I apologize, but it's a hot day. If you remember about 6 weeks ago or so, I put up the misters. I don't have the misters on today because I don't want to get soaking wet while I'm doing this video, but we're gonna have to deal with the fans. We've been back up in the 90s for about, I don't know, 2 or 3 days now, and it's been pretty humid. But when we were having 102 to 107 heat index, that's when I put the misters up. And in 1 week, literally 7 days, it went from 107 heat index, 100 degrees temperature Fahrenheit, 107 degree heat index, to 67 degrees in 1 week. And it stayed like that for like, I don't know, 2 weeks. It felt absolutely great. It felt like it was the fall. It felt incredible. The girls were enjoying it. Everybody was enjoying it. It was awesome. And I remember after I did the misting video, my mate over in England, Andy, he said, now it's gonna start raining now that you put the misters up. And he was exactly right. It rained every day for like 3 weeks. But I think the rain's over now because it's super, super hot and humid now. But I got injured about 2 weeks ago, and it was on my birthday, and I was out here by myself like I always am 99.9% of the time. I turned the misters on, and I turned the fans on. The fans were blowing the mist all over, and for whatever reason on this particular day, This lady right here, she didn't like the misters. And I had put her halter on like I've got right now, like you guys have seen me do 100 times before. Led them over here. They all came over here, you know, single file, 1, 2, 3, 4. And as soon as the mist hit Jean, she decided she wasn't having any part of it. She would run into her stall and she'd run right back out. And that went on and on and on and on. The boys ran into their stalls and they were completely fine. Grace was standing right out here just letting the mistress fall on her. But Jean was just amped up and just running back and forth. And I could not get her. I ended up putting a lead rope on her and led her over here, and everything was fine. She was right here, and she felt me let go of her. She just felt it let go. And instead of backing out of the stall, she did a U-turn in the stall, and back out she went, left with the lead rope and everything. So I was getting really frustrated. It was, in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, like 5 times. She finally came over and settled down in her stall for just a minute, was eating. And while she was in her stall, being pretty good, I came over here to Titus's stall. And you see how Max is just over the wall right there. And I opened up this door just enough to get into his stall. About like that right there. And I was reaching over into Max's stall just like I'm doing right here. And I was putting a little bit of food, remember that bite that you saw Jean take? I was putting that bite of food back into his stall. Because I went and stole a bite out of Jean's stall. Well, you hear accidents happen just like that. Well, this accident happened just like that. While I was reaching my hand over the stall, Jean, who I didn't tie up, who was settled into her stall, decided that she was going to spook again. She took off out of her stall, ran over into the pasture. You saw that I had that door cracked. Titus said, I have no idea why she's spooking. She's spooking for a reason, so I'm going to spook with her. So when he decided he was going to spook, he saw that door was cracked. And he said, I'm going out that door. I didn't have time to react. He stuck his head through that crack. The door didn't slide. The door didn't do anything. The door just bound up, because the door's got to slide and he's trying to push the door open. And it didn't go anywhere. So he said, I'm going. Because my foster mother went out and I'm going with her. And because I was like this, he stuck his head through that hole that was right there, pushed the door straight out, bent the roller, busted the bottom of the door, and I was fine until his gut got to me. Maybe it was his butt, I don't know. But he sandwiched me between this wall and his body and squashed me flat as a pancake. I felt the pain in my face. I heard my ribs crack. It knocked the breath out of me. He was gone. I was running in circles in here trying to catch my breath, doing the and I could not catch my breath. Max was still in his stall. Grace was still tied up over here. These two, big girl and little man here, they were both in the pasture. The world started coming in on me. It started closing in. I knew I was about to black out. I tried to get out of the stall and get to a bucket where I could sit down. When I got out of the stall, I couldn't turn. I went straight to the hitching post and just held onto the hitching post to prepare for falling. It was at that time that I got my breath back. It felt like an eternity, but I know it wasn't. So I sat down on the bucket and was trying to catch my breath, and I was very short breaths. I was like, like that. And Jean comes back out of the pasture and walks right up to me with the misters going, the fans going, everything that was spooking her before. Now she's not spooked by him because she realizes and recognizes that I'm hurting. And she came up and put her face right here while I was sitting on the bucket as if to say, I'm sorry. And so I petted her and was still trying to catch my breath. I didn't have my cell phone with me. My cell phone was over at the shop where the RV is now. So I said, let me get over there. So I went over there and I called my family. Told my family what was going on. I thought that if I sat in the AC of the RV for a while, drank water, that I would be okay. Well, an hour went by and I still couldn't catch my breath. I still couldn't breathe and I hurt really bad. So I said, well, after about an hour, I said, I'm going to go up to the ER. I went up to the ER on my birthday by myself. And when I got up there, I was walking real labored as well. It was hurting to walk. And as soon as I walked in, the girl sat me down in a rolling chair. It wasn't a wheelchair, but it was a rolling chair. And she called something over the radio, and she rolled me into their trauma center. And I was in the trauma center for the next 3 hours. They took x-rays, cut my clothes off of me first. Then there was like 12 people in the trauma center. They were all over me like ants, which I was extremely appreciative of. Got an IV in me, cut all my clothes off of me. I'm laying in my underwear on the trauma table. They took x-rays of me. It was weird. They took x-rays from across the room. And the ER doctor looked at it and he said, oh, you got multiple closed fractures on the left side of your body. Multiple. It didn't say how many. Rolled me into nuclear medicine for CT scans. I had 3 CT scans, one of them with contrast. And that was something because I was completely fine. Well, I say completely fine, comfortable temperature-wise. And when they pumped that contrast into me, my body got so hot, so fast. It blew me away that they pumped iodine or whatever it was into the IV, and within seconds, my entire body was hot. I couldn't believe that your heart pumps your blood that fast through your body, but it pumped it so fast through that iodine, so fast through my body. I was hot. Hey, Grace. Like I was laying underneath a sun lamp, you know. I mean, it was unbelievably hot for like 2 minutes. Rolled me back into the trauma center, told me I had to wait 45 minutes. I had a neck collar on, neck brace too, because they weren't sure what was going on. That, I had to lay like that for 45 minutes until the test results came back. Well, as soon as they got me back into the trauma center, they doped me up with morphine. And as soon as they doped me up with morphine, I was finally able to breathe regularly. And then I had to lay there, like I said, with the neck collar on, all that for 45 minutes. And when all the results came back, I had no soft tissue or internal damage, nothing. I was very clean and very fortunate. But I have multiple closed fractures on the left side of my wrist, like the very center right here, it's broke. Right in here. And I think my scapula is cracked. And my left kidney is bruised. So I'm moving slow. It's been 2 weeks and I'm feeling pretty good. They didn't tell me I couldn't do anything. They just gave me a piece of paper and it told me that it was going to take 1 to 3 months to heal. But I don't have the luxury of just laying in a chair all day. I've got to get out here and take care of these animals. I've still got to cut grass. I've got to do a lot of things. And since I'm the only one that does anything out here, like I said, I don't have the luxury of just sitting in a chair and relaxing. So I've been taking a lot of breaks during the day. And when I get home at night, I take a shower and I just relax the rest of the night and don't do anything. And I don't do any more than I have to do out here. I did have to cut grass, I had to cut it super slow, but I got it cut, or got the majority of it cut anyway. And I've just been doing what I've got to do, but I got to take care of these animals. You know, you just can't leave these animals out here and expect them to be fine. They gave me oxycodone, which I've taken a few of them. I've just been eating 800 milligrams of ibuprofen. And resting all the time when I'm not taking care of these girls and boys. Let me let these boys out. Titus, you ready? Come on. That's the bucket that I sat on when Jean came up to me and said, "I'm sorry." You got a spider web on your nose? Are you still eating? Huh? Come here. Back, back, back. Whoa. Got to do her halter one-handed. Grace. Back. Whoa. Okay, go on. Go on. So last week when I didn't put out a video, it was because I just couldn't muster up the strength to get out here and talk. I'm feeling a lot better though a week later. I was looking at the horses and you couldn't see them, they weren't in the frame. But I've just got to take it easy and do what I got to do to make the farm run. You can see right here how he bent that roller, laid that roller over, and the door is still broken at the bottom. I haven't fixed that part yet, but at least it's on the tracks and operational. It doesn't close. I can't latch it over here, and it won't park inside of its keeper. But I'll get that fixed eventually when I can get down on the ground where it's, you know, not. Whoa, you better get out of here, Crow. Crow came around the corner of the tack room and was flying right at me. He thought he was going to come up here and get in the shade. There's his buddy. Well, like I said, I'll get that fixed eventually. It works right now, and it's functional for what it is. The door is closed for the most part, so he's not trying to get out. He doesn't try to get out anyway. I can leave the door open, and he'll stay in there until I tell him to come out. It was just that gene spooked. You know, it makes you wonder what our pioneers, forefathers and ancestors did, you know, when they were blazing the Oregon Trail, and, you know, thinking about them going out there busting wagon wheels and battling disease and sickness and Indian attacks and everything, you know. I wouldn't want to live back in those days, so this is minor what I'm dealing with, what they had to deal with. See what Gene does here. What you doing, Big Mama? Huh? Yeah, you were the one that caused all the trouble. You are the moody one. Maybe it was your time of the month or something. I don't know. You're pregnant, so that's not supposed to be happening. But that's going to do it, guys. I appreciate you watching, and as always, remember who you are. Be kind to those around you. Stand up for what you believe in.